Hey, to whoever may need this nugget of encouragement, things will be alright. So quit your work.
Hey there, and welcome to the 8th episode of The Hunters Are Here, where we swap family tales from the hilarious to the heartwarming. I'm your host, Ellen, and every week we share the stories that made us laugh, cry, and sometimes roll our eyes at Uncle Buddy. Truly, it should be a movie because growing up Hunter is an experience that keeps happening. You may be familiar with my voice from a podcast I do with my hubby, Paul, called E Says, P Says. Currently, we are on hiatus due to the Mr. going through some health challenges. Thankfully, he is on the mend, and we should be bringing you new episodes soon. If you are listening to us for the first time, hello and welcome. Last week, I took a little detour and discussed the importance of family reunions and knowing who your people are by talking about a documentary on CNN's The Whole Story by Anderson Cooper called Black/White Family Reconciliation. And it was about the Seminoles with one L or two L's, a family of white people whose ancestors owned slaves and of black people whose ancestors were the slaves owned, and how they have come together through family reunion and fellowship that started with the white family reaching out to the black one so they could learn more about their family. In the episode, in my episode, I could not recall all of the names of those involved. So I've looked back on my notes and learned that it was Spencer Jr. that was the researcher and teacher. His dad is Spencer Sr., and he and his sister are the ones that reached out via telephone after Spencer Jr. had sent a letter to the Black Seminoles. The black family that responded were Michael and his aunts, Deborah, Rita, and Patrice. Michael, on the black side, was also researching his genealogy at the same time as Spencer Jr. Not sure when, but the family cleaned up the slave burial ground cemetery that I had mentioned um, in my episode that was just very disheveled and unkempt compared to the white cemetery that was on the Seminole land. And they also added or updated the markers that were there because some of them were very old, had been there at least 100 years, I'm gathering. I also mentioned a trip that Spencer Jr. and his family took to Liberia to learn more about Harriet's son, Elias Hill. I could not recall the name, but it is called a mission where church members go to other countries or places to spread the word of God. If you missed the episode, please listen and then check out the show. It should be on CNN or if you search your cable channel. Let me know what you think by leaving a comment. So this week, we are back to our regularly scheduled program, and I will be discussing my first middle aunt and fifth child, Eloise Pritchett. Because my aunt lived in Chicago as I was growing up, and was living her life and raising her family, we did not see her much. However, as she retired and had grandchildren, she would make a point of coming out to a family dinner, wedding, graduation, or birth when she could, and bring one of her grandchildren with her so they could get the travel experience and meet their family. Before my aunt came to California, she surprised us by attending our wedding in Vegas. And when I say my aunt came to California at the time, my husband and I were living in California. I think I've mentioned previously that my husband is from California, and we spent the first few years of our marriage in California. So It has been 36 years, so I had to take a look at the pics because I thought she was there, but had to confirm. My aunt also came to California to help us with our oldest son after he was born. She stayed about 2 or 3 weeks. It was so wonderful to have someone in the home to show me the ins and outs of parenting. But yeah, being a parent is a whole lot different than being a sister or brother. Knowing how to change a diaper is just the beginning. And fortunately, we were able to get some rest because she would wake up with our son for his 3 a.m. feeding, something we did not find out until she left. And he woke up crying. And we just looked at each other because we thought he was sleeping through the night. After speaking with my cousin, she let us know that our aunt had been waking up with him. Fortunately, my son was very intuitive, and that waking up only lasted about a week. He said, "These people don't know what they're doing or what's going on. Let me rest." So he was sleeping through the night by about 3 months. After her trip to California, my aunt came to New York a few times for Thanksgiving dinner with one of her grandchildren. She had She has 11, I think 10 or 11 grandkids. So she would pick one and bring them with her when she would travel. She couldn't bring them all at once, that is. Then she came to my sister's college graduation and my cousin and DC's wedding. And of all the aunts, she was the coolest and most laid back. However, if she felt you needed to hear something, she wouldn't bite her tongue. During her stay with us in California, we had long talks about family and life and how she got to live in Chicago. I think it had something to do with her husband getting a job there or her brother Buddy getting a job there and then asking her if she wanted to come. As I said, it's been a long while, over 30 years. And unfortunately, my aunt passed in 2009, so I can't even call and ask her anymore. My aunt is the first one that worked in the medical field. She was a nurse. It took a long time to put those two things together because before then, all I knew was she worked at the hospital. I knew she wasn't a doctor because that would have been shouted from the rooftops. I didn't think we I don't think we have uh any medical doctors in the family. We have quite a few PhDs, but no one in the medical field yet. I also gather that her being a nurse is one of the reasons Granddad stayed with her in her latter years when she wasn't well. I remember going to my aunt's for that Christmas that I discussed where my aunt Evelyn turned the plane around. No, that was my grandmother's. That was granddad's funeral. That was the winter before, and I we had gone out for Christmas, and my father had gone to spend time with his mother and family, mother and father and his family for Christmas. So he wasn't with us, and he called to let us know that my grandmother had passed away while we were in Chicago. And unfortunately, my granddad passed that next January or February. It was really soon. So I'm glad we got to see her, even though I can't tell you much of what went on because I was so young, but it was nice to have a moment with her before she passed away. So, after that Christmas, we also went to Chicago as I got older. I think I was 11, 12, because I was in Tennessee at the time. We went to Chicago a few more times. And the one time I'm talking about when I was 11 or 12, my cousin, one of her middle daughter, got married, and my aunt had turned the wedding into that and a family reunion. And there was also my uncle Buddy's funeral. When he passed away, I was a sophomore in college. Yeah, that's been a long time too. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend my uncle's funeral because I was a sophomore in college, and my parents weren't paying for me to go. I think I stayed home with my siblings because at the time I was old enough for us to be left in the house by ourselves for a few days, especially in the community we lived. We lived right next door to the nosy neighbor. So if anything went on, she was going to tell my parents as soon as they hit the steps when they returned. I have taken my family to my aunt Bobbie's funeral when she passed away. And that has given us a connection to our Chicago family, which I still have today. So, similar to previous episodes, I have a few questions I located on the interwebs to ask about my relative. Also, I'm currently telling stories from my point of view. I have reached out to my first cousins, and hopefully, some of them will join me to share their experiences. And I can ask them the same questions because everyone has a point of view on the family members that is different from mine. And I would be more than happy to hear the tea. LOL. The first question is, what is your earliest memory of them? Going to visit around Christmas of 1973 before my granddad passed. How would you describe their personality in 3 words? Strong, enduring, and truthful. What role did they play in your life growing up? She was my aunt and supported me when needed. What is something they always said or a phrase you associate with them? She always said something about her telling the truth and not to ask her if you didn't want to hear it. What's one thing they taught you that still sticks with you today? As with my Aunt Corrine, Aunt Bobbie was very stealth about the way she moved. So she knew when to hold them and she knew when to fold them. And she used that art very well. How did they handle hard times or challenges? With grace, strength, and hard work. What's a time they made you laugh really hard? There was a family reunion where she retold a story that my Uncle Buddy had recounted many times. And I'm sure there are other times that she had me laugh, but um again, it's been a while, so I don't recall. Did you ever have a falling out or disagreement? How did you work through it? Never. You got to know who to pick your battles with in this family. What's something you wish you had said to them or wish they had said to you? I love you. How have they shaped your views on family, love, or identity? How to be private and quiet about your business and tell others when to step back. Next question. Tell me about a day with them you'll never forget. When my aunt came to help us once my eldest son was born, I enjoyed talking to her about family, life, and taking her around Los Angeles since she had never visited before. We even, before she left, took her to Disneyland. And that's another picture I have. I have her because they used to take, well, they still do. They took the picture in front of the flower made Mickey, but when you would enter the park. And we have that picture of her and me and my husband and our son in the carriage. And I believe she enjoyed the day and her time with us. She wasn't one to complain, so I didn't hear her complaining. And she also got the privilege of meeting my aunt and cousins on my father's side, because at the time they were living in Orange County, not too far from Disneyland. That was an experience for her. And was there a family tradition or event they made special when she would come to visit for Thanksgiving? What's the funniest or most surprising story involving them? I cannot recall. Auntie was always a little serious. Do you have a photo or item that reminds you of them? Yes. What's the story behind it? I have a photo of her at a family reunion when she was at the podium sharing the story I mentioned about my uncle earlier. And there's also the pic of her at our wedding in Vegas. And I also just mentioned the picture of her with us in front of Disneyland. What would a perfect day with them look like? Just hanging out just hanging out at her house, listening to her tell tales about life in Alabama from her perspective. Also, finding out more about her marriage and husband. All I know is he was from Alabama as well. How are you like them and how are you different? I am like her in that I enjoy a simple and quiet life, so I can dress it up and turn it out when needed. What part of their legacy do you try to carry forward? Being strong and silent and moving with purpose? If they could be a guest on this podcast, what would you ask them? I would ask her how she was able to be a mom of three, work nights, and manage to support her children so they had success of their own and could leave home. How do you think they want to be remembered? They would want to be remembered as a hard worker, homeowner, and being honest. In one sentence, how would you sum up their impact on your life? My aunt managed to show me how to be graceful, strong, and focused on your Goals. So, do you have an Aunt Bobbie in your life? Did she show that moving in silence, being strong and focused? Did she show you that moving in silence, being strong and focused were attributes for life? Did she share her honest look on life with you? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Now that we've discussed my first middle aunt and the fifth child, I will stop right here and pick it up next week where I discuss the second middle child and number 6, my first uncle, Uncle Leslie, also known as Buddy. Thanks again for joining us this week. Please make sure to subscribe to The Hunters Are Here on whatever platform you listen to podcasts. If you would like to support, go to buymeacoffee.com/Mock Media. You can also check us out on Facebook under Mock Media Group and on our website, mockmediagroup.com, where you can check out all things Mock. Thanks for listening.
Hey, to whoever may need this nugget of encouragement, things will be alright, so quit your worrying. I get it, the odds seem stacked back against the wall, but even consider it such, know you'll stand tall. Sat and watch from the side.